Welcome to Experiences of Insight. On today's episode, we are joined by Jade Zhao from Suzhou, China. Jade is the co-founder of Design Sprint China and TEDxSuzhou. The primary goal of Design Sprint China is spreading product ideas in China and helping organizations and teams to solve design challenges through local practices. Jade and his team have successfully completed over 50 design sprints in China for some pretty impressive clients. At TEDxSuzhou, they work to set up a global classroom organizing online and offline events which were designed to help young people practice ideals locally with a global vision. Prior to these experiences, he was a community manager and co-founder at yomail.com. As co-founder and community manager, he helped build, grow, and manage online communities within China. Jade also has a deep background in design and has advanced degrees in computer applications, management information systems, as well as international finance and economics, and a master's in communication and media studies from Shanghai University. Without further ado, we present Jade Zhao. Thank you very much for joining us, Jade, today. I was wondering if you would mind just confirming where you're speaking to us from, just for our audience.
Yes. Hi. It's great to be here with Dave and Lee.
And where are you dialing in from today, Jade?
I'm now living in China, Suzhou. It's very close to Shanghai. 1 hour drive.
And one of the things that I read about your town is that apparently, in addition to being at the center of the silk trade or the silk industry, that there are a significant amount of beautiful gardens, and collectively, it's part of a World Heritage Site as well.
Yes.
Is that correct? You live in such a beautiful place?
Yeah, Suzhou is very. History is great. There's very beautiful gardens here. They have more than 2,500 years. There's a lot of beautiful gardens. Yes,
wow.
That's correct.
Cool. Thank you. I was wondering, you have a really interesting background, and one of the things that I'd like to share with our audience and our listeners was we had the chance to meet you last year in the fall time in San Francisco at one of the Sprint conference hosted by the folks at Google. And among other people out there, one of the things that stood out was, you traveling from such a long way to participate with the community and being very active and proactive and expanding your network and meeting new people and listening to other people's stories. Has that always been something that you've been doing as far as, actively seeking community and to learn and educate yourself and just understand, different experiences from people? Can you tell us a little bit and our listeners about your background and either your training and your professional background?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
So it's great to have this opportunity to share with Dave and Lee. So my name is Jade Zhao. I'm the co-founder of Design Sprint China and also a Sprint Masters. So basically, what I'm doing now is helping organizations to make agile transition and enhance their innovation capability. So during the last 5 years, I conducted several design sprint workshops, including big companies, governments, universities, and then also startups. So I love different communities, join community, and then based on the community to learn. One of the reason is I I have participated in two nonprofit organizations. One is called a Toastmasters. One is called a TEDx. And then I think I learned a lot from those two organizations. I joined Toastmasters for a very long time. The first time I graduated, and I try to meet with different people, share public speaking at the first time, especially English speaking in Chinese. TEDx is also, so I know TED Talk in 2010, and then I started a TEDxSuzhou in 2011, and then become a TEDx ambassador in 2013, and then do different like mentorship for a lot of TEDx events in China. So the mission for TED and TEDx is idea worth spreading. So, which means to find some innovative ideas, creativity, and share it to the world. And that's great. That's I learn a lot from TED Talks, and also I meet a lot of interesting people. But I think what's really more is what we are doing now, and I think one of the reasons is why I joined the Google Design Sprint Conference is idea is great, but also we need actions. We need like methodologies to enhance actions, and a sprint is a great ways from problem solution and also validation. So you have a different ways. In 1 week, you can test. You can have some actual actions. So I think that's one of the reasons I joined Design Sprint Conference in the San Francisco. But also I joined lots of activities, lots of communities. So to make some actions.
So,
yes.
Jade, question for you. I want to go back to growing up and help me understand what it's like growing up in China, being a creative person. What was that moment, or when was that moment when you decided, when you felt in your heart you were a creative person and you wanted to follow that path? And then once you came to that decision, how then did you acquire the skills in a culture where I always wonder at what level does China have creative programs available for young people?
Yeah. So actually there's so the traditional the education not very creative. It's very old. Our education system, it's based on standard testing. So I think my background is interesting. I came from a family which all of the members are teachers. My parents are teachers. My grandparents are also teachers. So they have very high like expectation on the standard test performance in the school scores. But I'm not so good. Actually, poor performance, poor school. So I choose another like education way is myself. Didn't go to high school and normal university, but I choose another way, like skill schools, practice. And then it's a very unusual, but it's a very interesting way. You try a lot of different things, and then I go to work. I have my first job. I think is in 19 years old. So it's a very young age. You have your job. You become a designer, label designer, and then every day you're just doing the same things. So you have to like rethink what you want to do something different. So at that time, I go back. I think maybe I should go back to school, but I didn't quit like job, full-time school. I go like part-time school. So I get my bachelor, my master. So, and then in China, I think the big environment, especially recent years after after the Olympics 2008. So the economy is getting well, and the opportunity are very, very good. If you want a job, you can find a job. And then in 2000, there's a time 2012, 2014, there's a lot of venture came to China, the capitals. So the government encouraged people to do innovation and entrepreneurship. There's a lot of entrepreneurship happening that way. So I was one of them. So started startup to doing the things. And at that time, every day, if you are running a startup, every day you face problems you have to solve. There's problems you never faced before, maybe. So you have to solve those problems. You have to try, and then you need a different ways. So I tried design thinking, agile, lean, different ways, and also design sprint, of course. So I think it's hard to say if you are creative or innovative, but you have to action. You're running a startup, you have to face those questions, and you force yourself to be creative. Yes.
Hey, Jade, I had a question for you. When you're working with people and eventually with clients, and even when you went back to school and your understanding of people's comfort zones and a good understanding of the culture in China, was there ever a moment when you were looking at the methodology and thinking about the application and you had to maybe tweak some of the application of the methodology, either design sprint, agile, lean, to be more effective in the groups that you were working with? And if so, what were some of those lessons learned that were specific to the culture or the people that you witnessed or worked with?
Yes, I think every sprint is different. Every sprint, the methodology is the framework. It's a very cool framework you can apply to solve problems. But every sprint is different. There's several sprints we tried. So basically, you would adjust every situation to apply to every situation. But there are some interesting tweaks we do. One is we work with one of big companies. They are doing their innovation project, and then it's a long project. It's a 21 day. So we do 2-day sprint workshop, introduce the challenge, and then 40 days they go back to their work. They do research, use their 20/80 time kind of things. And then we have a boot camp. It's a 7-day whole week. We rent a valley. There's outside their company. So team work together day and night. And then one of thing in China is company or people need a quick result. So normally in a sprint, so we have one circle. We have a problem, solutions, and then prototype, and then we got validate data from real user. But in China, if it's hard to convince them to 5-day. Second, if there's 5-day, people want more iteration, not just one circle, but they want 3 circle, 4 circle. So you have to first day understand some idea, diverge. Second day, decide one, try, prototype. And then maybe the third day, fourth day, Friday, every day, you have a iteration. And then the company also the Wednesday, one of the leaders will come every day with a leader coming and then give feedback. So you have a different. So I think one thing we tweak in China, especially work for big company, they want a quick result, is iteration in one sprint, there's multiple maybe prototype and multiple things to try. So the other way is it's hard to like convince people to do a long sprint. Sometimes we just do a half day, even just 2 hours sprint. So it's so you have to think about how can I do it in 2 hours to run a sprint, and then you have to prepare a lot for the understanding part. Maybe there's no understanding, just like a quick introduction, the background, and then let the decider to choose one direction, one how my way, and then people to do diverge, think about different solutions, and then just finish at the decider part. Choose one possible solutions, and then they can, or choose multiple, and then they can go back to their work, try again to test. So there's the two, like a very extreme example is one is very long. They want a very multiple iteration. And then the other is very short, like 2 hours. And then you have to let them try, like work very quickly and also have ideation, have some sort of diverge, like quantity solutions, different solutions. Yes, Dave.
So Jade, when you do a sprint, help me understand what are the standard deliverables that are being requested. So what are you normally delivering at the end of the sprint? What do they want? What's the tangible deliverable? And then I'm also curious about what you think are the most valuable skills to have in the room. And then lastly, and you can pick any of these, the last one is big lessons. If you could give yourself advice when you first started out, what would be some of the things that you would warn yourself, or what would be some of the tips you would give to your younger self?
Yeah. So I think the deliverable, like expectation, there's most like a company we talk to clients what they are, so they want to like something prototype also like first prototype, they want to create something, test, they can show to their it depends on, most of we do is like product sprint, which means we design whatever, it's a 3D product or it's a digital product. So we have to deliver a product prototype, like it's not a real prototype, but it's a prototype. So in that ways, we need to help them. Sometimes in company, they don't have designer, interaction designer. So we help them. We're going to bring some designers, UI, UX designers, and then it's not Keynote, but it's a real, can test on the phone, and then it's very faster. So I think a digital prototype is one of the tangible things. We could most 80%, maybe 80% deliverables, but also there's other way we do like videos. So this is they need to like produce something. The second way is what skills we need for a sprint. It depends on the facilitator or the participant. As for facilitator, now you facilitate the sprint. I think the big basic listening skills, you have to aware of what happened in the room, not only focus on the process or the outcomes, but you have to see if the team work very well, if there's something. So the listening awareness about the things is important for a facilitator, the listening skills. And then also if there's some conflicts happen, I think you need to aware before the conflicts happens, something would show there. So the listening skill awareness about things is very important for the facilitator. As for attendees, I think in China, especially for the sprint cultures, people are very easy to like attempt not focus. So sometimes I will introduce some like meditation, like 5 minutes meditation to them, let them focus on what they're doing. I think when work in a team for participants, it's very easy to forget to focus. So I think for participants, help them to focus on what the task, follow the steps to go is very important. So the skill they can concentrate and then focus on the things is very important. And then the last question is about biggest lesson I learned from. There's one case I remember is I mentioned so the very long sprint, 21-day sprint, and then the last part we are in. So it's a very long process, and then at I think the Wednesday we have a big show to the boss, and then the boss give very negative feedback to the team, and then the next day to Thursday, the team are very low. So basically, it's like out of energy. So you can feel that as a facilitator, the people are not very participant, and then they don't want to do more exercise, want to think more. They just think they are stuck. So at the daytime, I pushed it a lot. It's didn't work. So at the end of the day, we tried something different. We play a role play. So the product is about clean the it's a consumer product. So we do like makeup, everyone makeup to do the role play, and then after the role play, so you go into the like empathy, the real user, and then you feel something different. So I think the role play is a great. The team after that, team reface, maybe refresh. So I think the lesson I learned from that sprint, because we are very high, we have at the first we have a very high expectations, and along the way everyone is very tense sprint to do something. So I think sometimes maybe we take a break, let them have a fresh, and then to do something different exercise, and then go back to. So that maybe we need to. I learned from that sprint. Yes.
Hey, Jade, I had a question. You know, when you're thinking about facilitating a design sprint, and you may be working with the sponsor in advance, and you're trying to make sure you manage expectations around roles and responsibilities, and maybe you're kind of just reiterating some of the points around a sprint, and everybody brings their ideas and should feel comfortable sharing their ideas with the group because we're working as a team on this. Is it, how easy or hard is it to get people comfortable with kind of leaving some of their previous constructs that they might have within an organization or within a community, and coming along with you and letting you show your skills and lead people to develop the best product that they possibly can, and gain alignment, and how what's your experience been within the people that you've worked with, as far as literally putting aside any of their preconceived notions?
Yeah. So it's not easy. Firstly, I think it's not very easy you can put different people from different background work together, especially when the big leaders in the team. So sometimes people are afraid to be make mistakes. People think they're stupid, or they're afraid to freely share their ideas. To And then I think it's 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 hard. It's a big challenge for every sprint. So what we do, or what I do, is so the preparation is important. So before the people coming 1 week, so before they come, I will try to make them understand. So I will do call, of course, key stakeholder. It's 101. Participants, maybe I would do also a audio call to them in a group, or if it's not too much people, I would do 101. Let them to know what is objectives, what happens, and then do a survey about that. And then also send a handbook to them. So let them prepare before the sprint. You have to prepare to come to and understand. And then also the icebreaker is also very important for people to do some exercise, like 30 circles, like draw your neighbors kind of exercise, icebreaker exercise. Let people to know that it's very common. People have afraid. I have afraid. I afraid that everyone afraid, even the boss afraid too. So it's very common to be afraid, not to talk a lot, and it's very common that people work together, and then there's some stuff. It's very common. Not so we have to understand that the feeling to be afraid, not to work like comfortable together, is normal. And then understand the normal things, and then let them try to get out of the comfortable zone to try. So I think set the basic roles, and then let them understand, let them do some icebreaker exercise is very important. Yes. And then the other is maybe during the process, you pay attention to if there's some people they are not very focused, or they are out of the topic. You just make sure them they're on the right track. Yes. But before that, and then beginning is very important.
Jade, help me understand what is the role and or responsibility of design? And then the second question I have is, what is your future headline?
Okay. So design, I think, is my understanding, of course, to solve problems. So firstly, designer is a problem solver. You solve problems. But also, I think a designer or good designer, the skill they need is facilitate. Sometimes you are not, let's say, maybe you are not a talent. You're not a hero, but you're help people to become a hero. So you can translate, you can combine, improve, remix. So designer, I think, as a role, a very important role is facilitator, I believe, facilitator, and also problem solvers. Future headlines. So myself, I used to be a designer, so I used to help the clients to make beautiful, but also solve their problems. I think for me, I want to be a creative problem solver, which means you not only solve the problems, but also you solve them in a different ways to provide a different options. Maybe people didn't think about it. There's a way, there's 3 ways, 1, 2, 3. As a designer, maybe you have to think about if there's more. There's 5 ways, there's 6 ways, and then provide surprise other people, give them like a different way to think about the way to solve that problems. Maybe, yes, as my understanding, yes.
Jade, I have 2 questions for you, and they're very different in the subject that I'll be asking you to share your thoughts with. One is the first one is coming off of those thoughts around design and your experience in the work that you're doing, and it's definitely to be commended because it seems like you've done a significant amount of work over the past several years on a lot of different fronts that from the outside and when you read it on paper reads as if you're working to build a larger community of people. And it's very admirable to see that. And like I said, we met you in San Francisco, and I could tell by your body language and the way that you interacted with people that you were very confident and comfortable doing that and communicating with people. So the first question is, knowing that this podcast will be listening to a wide array of people in different countries with different backgrounds, if you had one key thing to say to them as far as based off of your life lessons and things that motivate you and keep you going, any recommendations you could have for some people out there is that maybe working on building a career or thinking about how they view the world or interact with people? And then the second one is more of a lighthearted, more personal question. I know we've spent, I appreciate you talking to us about a lot of different matters to this point, but I'm also interested, what do you find yourself doing in your downtime, or do you have other interests and hobbies that you could share with us? I'm very interested to hear when you do have free time, what else you're spending it on, and what utility you get out of that.
Cool. So the first is something to share with others. I think maybe there's some sentence I think about recently. I think a good designer, as I said, is like a good facilitator. And then first you listen, and then you talk. And a good speakers is like a good leaders. So you first lead, and then you talk. So I hope that so the audience, when you do next time, you work with people, the first thing is listen to others, or to do something, draw something, show something, make something, and then to talk. So that's maybe from my experience, to share with the audience. So the second thing is hobbies. There's several hobbies, but I think there's recently one of the thing I do every day is I meditate in the morning. So I do some basic meditation, and every year I will do like a 7-day meditation retreat. Not every day, every year. So I think it's very useful. I know there's a TED Talk. A TED Talk is a very famous designer. He's talking about the takeoff from work is very important, which means sometimes you have to do nothing, and then after that you will refresh yourself. So this is one of the hobbies I do recently. Besides that, I love reading like history and philosophies. this is also my interesting. Watch TED Talks, reading some philosophy books. It's very personal, not to share with others, but I will listen. I will just refresh, think about some big questions. Who am I? Where I come from? Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Jade, help us understand
Yeah.
what's next for you. What should people be looking out for?
Yeah. So for me, of course, I will do sprint in next 10 years. I keep sprinting. But also, I want to help like people to be creative, as I already do in my like community in Suzhou in Shanghai. The next thing, I think, big things maybe in my life, or my goal is I'm going to move to San Francisco next year. I'm thinking about the reason is I want to connect more like diverse. I work with people in a different background, in a different context, and then to better understand. Because I think future it's a global like if you want to do something, it's very easy. You can connect to people in like, everywhere in the world. So it's very important as a designer, as a facilitator, to better understand the different culture background, different people, age, different background, even different culture oriented language. So I think it's a it's a very big thing for me to move outside, to run a sprint with different culture background. But also, it's also very important for me to connect those people together. So for example, if I can bring team from Shanghai to San Francisco and then work with team locally to solve the problem there, or I can bring team from San Francisco to Shanghai to help the team to solve their problem. Big company do the things, but I think in a personal level, in a small startup level, maybe I can do in this way with my like experience. Yes.
All right. We'll try to close this out because we could be here all day. But I have to ask one question. I was trying to resist asking this question, but I have to. You're describing how you're moving across the world and you do all these things that really take a lot of courage. What is the source of your courage? Where does it come from?
Yeah, it's I think so it should based on the early age and then something. My passion is in like technology and education. So these are so I think what I wanted to do or dedicate my my time in the future is to find out a future school or the future of learning. So one of the reason is based on my personal like experience. I have a family background in education, teachers, and then my father always like give very early age gives very high like pressures, push. But he also give freedoms when I was like 10, 11. He when I graduated from like senior schools, he gave big opportunity, like choice. So leave the choice to me. Go to high school, go to university in normal way, or go in a different direction. Go to the skill school, get your job at early age, and then try different. So I think this choice I made by myself, first time in my life. And then this gives me the thing. So I always think about what is the better education? What is the future of learning? So what I'm doing, like go outside, try different communities, and then help try entrepreneurship is based on this choice, so to find the better way to learn, and then to find what is the future of learning, what is the future of school, what could look like. This is, I think, I'm trying to do this. What I want to do is to build a global classroom, a future school, and then help young people to learn in a better way. Yes.
Great. Dave, is there anything else we missed?
No, I think we got it. I really am optimistic, and I look forward to following your journey, Jade, before the move and after the move. And I hope that we can follow you and that there is some content available to anybody listening that might want to follow you. Where would they be able to follow your journey and maybe get some of your lessons learned as you move forward?
Yes. I think it's, thanks for inviting me. It's great opportunity for me to talk with the audience outside China. And then I think maybe in the future we can, because I also organize few events in Shanghai and Suzhou, mostly is innovative, invite people to share their idea in innovation, also connect with people in different cultures to do something, make some actions. So it's great opportunity for me. I also looking forward to contribute, if in the future, contribute more, connect to people. I can also help you to connect different people also in China. It's great opportunity. Thanks, Dave and Lee.
No problem. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. Thanks for motivating us to be creative and seek better ways to learn. And on behalf of Experiences of Insight, we are very grateful.
Thank you. Great.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, Jade. Have a wonderful week.
Yes, you too. Have a wonderful week. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Dave. So keep in touch.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us at Experiences of Insight. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to our content. Just a heads up to all of you listeners and fans, Lee and I will be taking the next couple of weeks off from the podcast to spend time with our family. We look forward to regrouping in September and providing you with more content and great interviews and great guests. Have a great summer, everybody. Bye.